Have at me, bro, to the 13th episode of Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin lore play. This is Omega 99 Nemesis actually using a spare clip from the 12th episode as I simply ran out of time and couldn't shoehorn this in. For that, I do apologize. Now, where we left off, I got over my head and killed by a royal swordsman after a soldier hit me with the head with an arrow. Now I'm going to go and retrieve the souls I lost, because, well, if I lost all the souls I put into that, well, it would have been a substantial loss. Fortunately, I lost it in the middle of the fighting, don't have to get into the middle of it. However, I am still going to go in. Now, note, after you're done seeing what I'm doing here, and after I light the next bonfire I find myself at, there's going to be a massive time skip as I dealt through some technical issues and just grinded away souls and items. So things betwixt and the currently explored areas of Forest of Fallen Giants have all been systematically cleansed of all forms of undead. So, you know, everyone's dead. Enemies, at least. I haven't killed any NPCs, that'd be dumb of me. Now then. Now, I'm going to go over to this tree where we're going to find two more undead soldiers attacking, well, hollowed soldiers. This, once again, like I said, these enemies are clearly doing what hollows are known for and passively pursuing what they were basically trained to do. Maybe it has something to do with, like, muscle memory, and they just act on it as they're inclined to do. But regardless, I'm now going to go down here to get access to the Drangleic set, the Drangleic shield, and Drangleic great sword. Well, it's just called the Drangleic sword. I like the sword. It's a very good sword, I'll add. And the stats and requirements for it are hardly bad. So after I deal with this old ironclad knight who is now permanently dead due to multiple re-killings, I'm going to go show you not a shortcut, but how to get to... Well, I'm going to show you how the Pursuer, aka the Lost Elric brother, got around. It's actually kind of funny when you think about it. This is also clearly a shout out to Dark Souls 1. Anybody who started playing the game and got out of the asylum knows what this reference is. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and waste your time with some BS about Lux Tenebris' interpretation of his situations. Now, Lux is a warrior on principle and looks at things with a warrior shade. To him, this was clearly the site of a great battle that he was more than disappointed to have missed. I would also mention that he would be very excited by fighting ogres. He would have happily hunted them for sport as a challenge. And yes, that is effectively how the Pursuer gets around people. Very eco-friendly, I guess, though... How does that eagle carry him that far? I mean, that's a pretty big guy to carry around on a bird. And let alone by the feet. Ugh, God, that bird has to have back problems. Alright, so you'll notice that there's two treasure chests here that weren't here in the original cut. This raised red lights, which is why I attacked them thinking they might be mimics. This is where we get this. Alright, now to find Cale the Cartographer, I've brought in Midas Tenebris, who I just used to summon Chewbacca. You'll notice Midas looks a wee bit different. That's because I had him go ahead and kill the Pursuer, use his souls to get some new armor, and so forth. Right now, he's wearing the Elite Knight helmet, the Wanderer torso piece, the Alva gauntlets, and I believe the Royal Soldier greaves. So after me and Chewbacca deal with these guys, Chewbacca is probably a good build to bring in to fight the Pursuer. He's a sorcerer who use magic, the Pursuer having a vulnerability to magic, at least compared to others. Now, you're going to want to open up this shortcut here to get to Cale, as it gives you a quicker way to get to him as opposed to a slightly longer path. As you have to get through several enemies, true either way, but one involves you going down then up. This one just involves you going down, so to speak. Anyways, next you Kill these guys. These guys are going to try and take you down badly. There's a lot of archers here, and this is an easy way to get killed at. There's enemies across the scaffolding. You can pick up a torch item here, and then proceed that down this path down. You'll also, yeah, there's a guy waiting here. He might aggro and pursue you, so it's good if you catch him here when you do it, like I did. There's another archer here who can get you from below, which is equally frustrating. After dealing with him, climb up the ladder. Alright, now there's another guy atop that big rock wall, and from here we're going to want to go down yet a second time, simply to pick up one final item, also to kill this guy. Now from here, go down here and hang a left 2 times. Now on this area you're going to see this grating that has a titanite shard near it. Proceed back the way you came, all the way in the middle on the top of that fallen apart building. I don't know if it was actually a house or what, but it's an idea. It's a description for it. And then from here you're going to want to be careful. This is actually, I've died doing this because I'll run out of stamina running over there. But jump across, and then from here proceed down to this point. Now, do not run into the tunnel, because I almost did. A boulder will fall and kill you. That's bad. I mean, there's no way you'll survive the boulder. Pick up a human effigy from here and go up here. If you return after the fact, you'll find a hollow soldier where the boulder was. That boulder technically killed it. Go down here real quick to kill this guy. Now that you have like one guy left, but he's not in a position to do you any real harm, we're gonna go now and have our first dialogue with Cale.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just daydreaming, I think. My name is Cale. I'm a traveler, like yourself. I'm navigating the continent to create a map. Why cartography, you ask? Well, that's a good question. When I first came to this forsaken land, it was... a curse? Something about a curse. How embarrassing. I seem to have lost my focus. But I do know one thing for certain. I have always been very fond of maps. I came to this land some time ago. Drangleic, the Lost Kingdom. It sounded so romantic. Have you seen Majula? Oh, there's a rather spacious mansion there. I've made it my temporary home. Well, as something of a squatter, I'm afraid. Inside the mansion, I found a strange map, like none I'd ever seen. I believe that it's a map of Drangleic. Now I'm traveling the land to prove it. Yes, that's it. That's why I came to the kingdom. Wait, no, that wasn't it. Then what? I don't seem to recall. Were you looking for that map? Wonderful. Then you're fascinated by maps, just like me. Shame on you. You should have told me before. Here, take this. A key to the mansion. What a joy to meet a kindred spirit out here. Incredible, really, isn't it? Such a map to be chiseled in stone. Oh, but one thing. I would not venture deep into the mansion. I can't be certain, but I've heard disturbing noises. Something about it feels wrong. Just be careful, please. I'll be back in Majula soon. Perhaps we will meet again and discuss maps at our leisure.
Alright, this concludes Midas's aid in this episode. Thank you, Midas. Your check's in the mail. And now we're back as Lux Tenebris after dealing with the third interruption in a row for this one clip of the scene. You notice that Lux looks a lot different than he did before. That's because I did a lot of grinding, just depopulating the entire forest of fallen giants up to where we left off while you were gone. Partially so that I could get the royal gloves, the royal swordsman gloves, and also because I was lacking the access to my episode, so I thought I'd just do some grinding for the heck of it. Now we're going to do some lore real quick, just one item for now, and then we'll continue with the rest of the episode. I'm going to try and do a little more streamlining with the lore, as I honestly don't want to make this just about the item lore, if at all possible. So we're going to start talking about the helmet you've seen me wearing right now, the Alva helm, which, yes, by the way, I bought the crap out of mall and store. The Alva helm, helm worn by Alva the Wayfarer, light but offers very high defense. Alva crossed many a land in search of a cure for Saint Saretta's sickness, but failed and relinquished his knighthood. Alva was once racked with guilt and remorse, but rediscovered his purpose in life with the aid of the witch who once plotted against him. On a gameplay perspective, this is a medium-type armor, and it's a pretty good set. It's nothing terrible, that's for sure. It's got pretty high defense for a medium armor, and it is lighter than some other armors. And is a decent enough set. I do believe it's superior to the Wanderer set, for obvious reasons. It's actual armor and not just made out of leather and cloth. On a lore perspective, this was worn by a knight who tried to cure a saint he was loyal to. Zaretta was the saint's name. I don't know if Saint Zaretta was a man or a woman, but apparently failed and rediscovered a bit of what he was born for with the aid of a witch who apparently plotted against him. I'm not going to elaborate any more on this than I already have, and we'll just move on for the time being. Alright, so now we're going to go and open up the door that leads to the King's Door with the old soldier's key, or is it just the soldier's key? We picked this up off the last giant. We'll get to his soul description later. However, we open this up, and I'm actually going to be pleasantly surprised, because honestly they added an enemy here that I didn't expect, even more than the Royal Swordsman. That is a Syan Knight. These knights in the original cut were first encountered after going through halfway through the game. Just suddenly find one here, even if it is a place that does lead late into the game, it's still fun to find these guys here. And also notice, I always found it weird, they carry a tower shield and a Black Knight's greatsword, yet they only drop greatswords, not Black Knight. Pick up the Grand Lance from here, and I'm going to be farming this guy, because honestly, I need the torso armor. The torso armor is part of the build I play with. Not directly, it just matches the armor weight of the torso plate I like to wear. So after checking to make sure this isn't a mimic, I'm going to open this up to retrieve the Ring of Restoration and a torch item. Now, from here we're going to proceed to the third bonfire, where we're going to find skeletons and a phantom that invades. Ooh la la. Alright, so from the King's Doorway, let's proceed forward and back to that area that led to the Pursuer and Cale the Cartographer. Now open this door with the same key we just used. Now in here we're going to find skeletons where once there was old ironclad knights and hollowed soldiers. And also notice that they've really improved the lighting in this aspect. It's literally so dark. I've got my lighting set to max, and yet I can barely see what's in front of me. So this is an improvement, even if I don't like it. But yeah, I don't like fighting skeletons. These guys are nimble, they are mean, and they are unpleasant. I was perfectly fine just dealing with them with the undead hunting cops, because, well, then I have to deal with them. So I'm actually going to go on the rare thing, and instead of just going in and killing everything, I'm going to light the torches as I come across them so that I can see where I'm fighting. There are going to be a couple of items here. In fact, there were some items here I was not expecting to actually find, which makes me question a bit of the lore I've already considered for myself. Now, the skeleton, I don't know if that was a glitch or if that was supposed to be like the hollows attacking the trees, but that one was just attacking a dead corpse. Possibly these were undead from the old Iron King coming to get revenge on Drangleiac's knights, but I don't know. Maybe this was a part of the old Iron Keep at some old Iron King's domain at some point. Hard to say. It's hard to say just who ruled what areas when they reigned. So okay, now I'm going to go and light the second torch. Still kind of find that eerie that we see skeletal bones in there, but it does add up. Yeah, look closely. Those little things, they have bones in them. That's not wood, that's bone. So I managed to kill this one out where there was actually 3 of them. And that one got a cheap hit in. I say that's crap, but either way. I managed to take the skeletons out with little issue, though I lose Estus to do so. So I'm picking up some alluring skulls, which are trap-based items. You can use them to lure undead mostly. And using them, you could like drop one in a fiery pit and they'll actually follow it. But that's it. It doesn't work on enemies who don't actually have an incentive to collect souls, though. So hollows and so forth, it works on. Skeletons, maybe. Even some forms of animal, but say Black Knights, not so much. In Dark Souls 1. Here I imagine the Elan Knights, you could say the same. Now I'm going to actually go in here. Now originally there was an old Ironclad Knight here waiting to hit you when you open that door. So apparently I was thinking, oh, the close is clear. Wonder what's up here. 3 Ironclad Knights, explosive barrels. There's actually this funny little moment with the guy next to me. It'll make sense in a moment, but this guy actually does get a good hit in, I believe. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's the other guy. But, okay, yeah, they both get a hit in, actually. So actually, at this point, I take him down, and then I hurry back as far back as I can to recover while he's distracted. Because you can actually trick these guys to fall down the little pit here, but it's... Okay, so no, it's the 3rd guy who got that odd hit in on me. He actually hurts us both pretty bad on accident, which was funny. I'm actually surprised to find a bastard sword and a whip both up here, as the whip was found in the undead cops, which is... Yeah, he lines himself up with that black barrel, and then I get caught in the fire as well. But this not only further makes me question it, because the Old Iron King and Vendrick were similar, though very different in several key aspects. Vendrick, for example, did at one point possess some degree of honor, whereas the Old Iron King was just an ambitious person with too much ego to go with. Alright, though there's a ladder right ahead of me, I recommend instead proceeding back down this way, as it'll allow you to retain some degree of concealment from the enemies on the ground level, whereas otherwise it'll just give you away. There's also apparently an enemy's gonna drop to his death while I'm going through here. I think it's an archer who just wanted to get too aggressive and forgot to take the smart way across. Alright, so after picking up another piece of human effigy, we're gonna go through this door and deal with 2 more enemies specifically. The first is an infantryman who's got his back turned to you, who's easy to kill off, and then this guy. He does get a good hit on me, as I recall. He does that 4-hit combo, stay out of his way. And even though I am aggressive and I do get the kill most of the time, I don't recommend that approach, especially as I later pay for it when I get invaded. There's an NPC invasion here. At least I'm assuming. His gamertag doesn't seem familiar. And also, he does have a rigid moveset comparable to an NPC. Alright, so in any minute now, he should be popping up. So yeah, this is when I pick up the leather set he invades. The Dark Spirit Armored Dennis. Armored Dennis the Semi-Menace. If I had to compare his moveset, he's basically an arcane knight. He's a sword mage. You'll see what I mean literally in the first second. He does a point, but then he does that. That is Soul Greatsword, and it's a pretty good spell. And it also does good damage. You can see it almost cut my health in half. He has a decent shield. I think it's the Great Tree Great Shield. I ended up healing and using a life gem. That's when I realized I needed to get this bonfire lit right away so that I could recover if I needed to. This is possibly the best point to fight him, actually. It's hide in closed space that doesn't give him the time to do his castings. He does have a sword, but I think he has the blue flame. But it's not ideal for what he's trying to do. Yeah, see? Definitely has the blue flame. So after doing away with him, you get some souls, and I get an effigy as well. For him, I recommend just don't give him time to cast, or else he can do good damage. I was level 63 when I fought him, so I had a bit of an edge in terms of level. Alright, this concludes episode 13. This is Omega 99 Nemesis signing out. Next episode, we'll be going into the Majula's mansion and Hyde's Tower of Flame.